In this video from We Are Racing, hello Brendan.
Hello Uncle Graham.
Lekker man, welcome back to the channel.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So we, as you probably saw from the title of this video, have made a decision in terms of our next project. So just to explain very quickly, we went through a few iterations of what our next project was going to be. One of the projects that was right at the top of our list was the suggestion around a BMW E30, which is the early box-shaped BMWs. We are in fact still looking out for a 333 or a 325 two-door. If we can get our hands on one, that'd be pretty cool. So that's not off the cards completely, but it's not the project that we chose for here. Then there was a suggestion to build probably something similar to the Birkin that we built previously, but with a motorcycle motor. We looked around for that. It's also not completely off the cards. I just couldn't find a proper Hayabusa motor at a decent price for us to be able to do that. So that was put on the back burner. Another suggestion that was made was to build something with a big V8. That's not off the cards. In fact, it's not off the cards at all, but it's not the project that we're going to do here. And then another project or another suggestion that was made was to take something similar to the Birkin that we built, Caterham, Locost, whatever those things are called, Lotus7 type thing, but to build a car with a motor behind the driver. And I'm going to be honest here, that was definitely right at the top of my list in terms of things to do. And here we took a bit of poetic license from our mates over at the Pedal Box Show. I'll put a link down to their channel below. And what they did is they started with a Caterham chassis. And what we are starting with here is what's known as a low-cost chassis. So this, for those of you who know, is a car that also looks very similar to, is basically a Lotus 7 replica. And that's what we're going to start with. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, this is a car that we're going to base on the Lotus 7, but it will not look like a Lotus 7 by the time we are done with it. Again, taking a bit of inspiration from our mates over at Pedal Box Show. Now, you've seen things over the past months in our channel, like the Ryobi welder that we bought, and that probably gave you a hint that our next project is going to involve some fabrication. We are also possibly going to buy the Ryobi plasma cutter, and we'll do an unboxing of that if we do. And I want to remind you about the objective for this project: 100,000 bucks, buy, build, modify a car, sell it without making a loss. So that's roughly the plan. What we've got so far is, and this is the portion where I tell you that it doesn't very often happen that you get more than what you bargained for. Now, I never really understood that phrase until now, getting more than what you bargained for. So the people who know me, I never accept the price. I was in Chamberlain's the other day wanting to buy something, and I walked away with well better than a 10% discount. That's on retail. I never pay the price. And in this case, with this chassis, when we found it on the Facebook Marketplace, it was advertised for a very specific price, and I made contact with the gentleman, and we went to go and look at the chassis, and it was everything that we expected it to be, and we felt that it was a really good price. And he indicated to us that there were some extra bits that's supposed to come with the car. These extra bits came in the form of the most beautiful uprights beautifully engineered, and discs and hubs and axles and lights and just a bunch of extra stuff. Way more than what we bargained for. Okay, obviously not all the stuff that you see over here, but quite a few of these bits that you see here came with the car. What we have is basically everything we need, bar shock absorbers, everything we need to come up with a rolling chassis. And that is roughly going to be the objective for this weekend, is to come up with a rolling chassis. We've got wheels.
Nice semi-slicks.
Yeah. We've got steering rack. We've got A-arms. We've got these complete assemblies that you see over here. They came with nuts.
Not
Everything.
matching on the back,
Yeah.
mind you.
It's okay. I've got some extra ones in the drawers over there. We went online to the not the car builder site, but carbuilder.com. Bought all the switches that we needed. Tools that you need to do brake lines. Complete wiring harness for the type of car that we're doing. So we basically have everything we need to come up with a rolling chassis. And that said, we set ourselves a budget of 6 months to complete this project. Right now, we are struggling to find a suitable powertrain, engine, gearbox. We've got the diff. We managed to find a limited slip that is in for repairs at the moment, just to have it rebuilt to make sure that it's fine. And we realized that the gear ratio on that oak is 3.3. Now ideally with these cars you're looking for something with a 3.9 or better. 3.9, 4.3 is a good gear ratio, and if you're going to go with one of the drivetrains that's an option for us is a Beams motor with a 6-speed gearbox, in which case you definitely want something closer to a 5 gear ratio on the diff. We managed to find another diff, 3.89 ratio, which is a similar ratio to the one that we put in the Birkin, and we're picking that up tomorrow, so we'll probably go with that. And that is the reveal. That's what we're going to do. That's the plan. We're going to build a car that is based on a Lotus 7 that is probably going to look nothing like a Lotus 7, but to find out, you guys will have to come on this journey with us. So this weekend what we're going to do is we're going to try and get some suspension bits onto the car and probably mount the steering system as well, although we don't have the proper mounting brackets for the steering system, so we're going to have to come up with, we'll make a plan, we'll make an interim plan. But with that, Andre so generously supplied us with a couple of extra bits that we need, including, and this stuff is so beautiful, I geek out on this sort of stuff, including a mounting bracket for our steering rack, Locost, which is the chassis that we've got over here. So that's going to be fun. This is going to obviously be a proper build. It's going to be a proper ground up build. As you can see, the chassis is incomplete. There's still quite a few brace bits left on the chassis that's not done yet. Our intention there is to come up with a brace that we can bolt in and bolt off if we want to remove the motor for whatever reason. So make the car extremely serviceable. Some of the issues that we ran into with the Birkin, space issues and those sort of things. So we're going to make some of the bits bolt on, bolt off as far as we possibly can. We bought a riv nut tool here somewhere, and we're going to try and, as far as possible, use riv nuts. Those of you who are not familiar with riv nuts, you drill a hole into the chassis, you rivet the nut bit into the chassis, and then you've got a bolt hole for permanent. The chassis is currently painted with something called hammer tone, which is a paint that is very rust repellent. In fact, as long as the surface is clean, you can paint it directly onto rust and it's sorted. So that protects our chassis for the moment. As soon as we've made all the adjustments on the chassis and welded in all the bits that we want and mounted all the bits that we want, and obviously figured out where the suspension bits are going, we will strip down the chassis completely, send it for sandblasting, and have it powder coated before we do the final assembly. So this is going to be a proper ground up build that we have to get into. That's it. Like, share, subscribe. Give us ideas of what we can do with our new build. Tell us what you guys would like to see, aside from obviously going crazy on what it's going to look like when it's done, because that's basically decided. Thank you to Francois for supplying us the idea there. So this is going to be fun. Let's see where it goes.
A lot of boring math later.
So, what are we doing?
Holding up the brackets. Oop.
Ooh, weekends.
For shock mounts. The book calls for just the bent bracket. Ours has this extra little bit here for extra strength.
Got a few done already.
We're making a few.
Yeah.
A couple more than what we need.
Always good to have extras.
Just in case.
A few minutes later.
So aside from pissing off the neighbors, what are you doing?
I'm cutting these little uprights to keep the steering column, I don't know, what?
To mount the steering column?
Yeah, to mount the steering column for this little mount. So these, I'm going to cut another one of those little oaks. It's just a piece of angle iron, and that's basically just going in here and tacking to this and welding there. So it's at a 39-degree angle. Took me a hell of a lot of time to figure that out. But
So
yeah.
39-degree angle, is that what we're looking for?
Yes, 39.3 to be exact.
And how long are your uprights?
About 60 mils, so 60.49
Millimeters.
But, yeah, but the 49 doesn't
Close
really
enough.
matter. So yeah, we'll
Cool.
get us to about a 39-degree angle.
Cool.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Speak to me.
So, I shall forfeit these. So what we've done is I've cut these. I'm not touching it because it's still hot as hell. I've cut these two little pieces of angle iron at an angle, and then this was up about here still.
What was your angle?
39.3 exactly.
Nice.
I actually want to check how close it is, but it's still too hot. Will melt everything. So it's one on that side and one on this side. And Uncle Graham welded everything together, and yeah, I don't think it's coming off anytime soon. This thing it's on there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Now we can primer it and then add a steering rack.
indeed.
Just then.
Okay, so Brendan is using our extra diff which we picked up from Murray earlier today
Huge shout out to Uncle Murray.
to mock up where the brackets are supposed to go, and he's basically got them marked out, so we're going to tack weld them into place. And there we go. Brackets welded in, primered, so we don't pick up rust. And this is obviously for a Ford Sierra diff to mount in here. And we moved the chassis into all kinds of different directions, made sure that we welded every angle of this thing. She's not coming off anytime soon. What we might do is, once the diff is installed, actually stick a brace across the top over here, although I'm not 100% sure that's necessary. This video is starting to get a bit long. So that's basically going to be a wrap for the video for today. I need to still go edit and get this uploaded. You guys know what to do in terms of liking, sharing, subscribing and all the good stuff. 80% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribers. Subscribe, it helps us, please. In the next video, we're going to turn all of these things into a rolling chassis. We are battling to find coilover shocks, and what we decided to do in the meantime is we're just going to make square tubing bits that's the same size as the shocks to be able to get the wheels on and get the chassis standing where it's supposed to stand, so that we can start mocking up certain things. So next video, rolling chassis, and we'll see how far we get with that. Always remember that life is too short to drive boring cars, and see you in the next video.